So I'm sure you're watching this in order to see the first clue board for the treasure hunt, in hopes of finding your very own piece of the Vernian Treasury. We'll get to that later in the video, I promise. Right now I want to go over a few things.
Yeah, don't worry. You're not the only ones that have the occasional urge to want to smack them.
Yeah, but you gotta love me.
Yeah. Only because you're the one who feeds me.
Yep, and don't forget it.
Oh, I'm too down. I'll put you in a hole.
What?
I said I love you down to my very soul.
Right. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Vernian Treasury Treasure Vault, or as we like to call it, TVT TV. I'm Lee, and this is Little Bit. This is our second video, so if it's your first time joining us, you're going to want to go back at some point and watch our first video as well. This has initial information about our nationwide treasure hunt in it, which I know none of you are going to want to miss. We'll put a link to that in the description of this video, also at the end. If this is not your first time joining us, and you've come back for our second video, thank you very much. We really appreciate it, and we hope you guys will continue to join us. As my little furry friend here, who I think is already ready for this video to be over with here, she's falling asleep on me, explained last time before she hijacked my video and made everybody miss out on a bunch of life-changing information. I'm sorry. Blame her. We've been hiding treasure casks around the continental United States for about the last 6 to 8 months. That means there are none right now in Alaska or Hawaii or in any of our territories. That does not mean there will not be some in those locations in the future, but as of right now, there's not. When we get closer to putting them there, we will definitely give you a heads up. That way you can prepare for those clue boards as well. This means right now they're in the lower 48 states, so we've already narrowed it down from 50 states to 48 when you're trying to solve the locations of the treasure cask. So a little bit of help. You're welcome. We'll be putting more of these out there in the near future, hopefully, once the country migrates more back to normalcy and people can go out safely again. We've actually got a number of these waiting in the locations to go into their hiding spots once people can go back out. Donna will go ahead and start by this video by giving a little more information about the treasure hunt itself and the treasure casks. As Little Bit said, each of these casks we have hidden can either be buried or not, or they could be with a particular person. And in any case, these will all be on public property or publicly accessible place. And if they're with a person, they will most assuredly be in a safe public venue. These will all be in a safe place, in a public venue, obviously. But I wanted to make sure that I stress that about when it's with a person, so you don't think you're going to have to worry about going to somebody's random home or something, all right? I can't stress enough about these being on public property or publicly accessible place, particularly if they're buried. So please, no one go around to random individuals' homes, digging holes in their yard looking for these things. All right, I can hear the phone call now. In fact, I've been having nightmares about these phone calls of hearing somebody call and saying, these dang kids keep digging holes in my yard and I keep telling them there's no treasure here. Yeah, all right. If it's in a public place but not on public property, a perfect example of this would be a shopping mall parking lot. They will not be buried, and you won't have to disturb anything to find them. They also will not be inside a building. The only time, in those instances, the only time they will be in a building is if it is a clue board that and a cask that is with a particular person that you're trying to find. So on that note, I want to say that you will know when it is with a person. The clue board, when it comes out, will specifically say this cask is being held by a person in particular. All right, so say it again. If you get a clue board that says with a person, it's looking for a person. If it does not say that, then it means you are looking for one hidden by itself. So please know that. Also, if this is one hidden with a person in particular, you're going to want to find out where the place is first before you actually figure out who the person is. Definitely do not want people going around asking, random individuals if they can search them for treasure. In fact, even if you know the person, I wouldn't do that. That's a little bit creepy. I wouldn't want somebody one of my buddies asking to search me for treasure. This would be odd. All right. I could see it now, tonight on CNN, YouTuber causes 500,000 restraining orders around the country in 1 week. Definitely don't want that. All right. So Also, these will always be or never be hidden around a place or in a place of historical significance or cultural importance. Doesn't mean we will have one in the vicinity of one of these or use one of these as a landmark to point you in that direction. In fact, I can almost guarantee you we will. Basically, if you figure out one of these are hidden in Washington, D.C., it's not going to be the Lincoln Memorial, and it's not going to be on the Lincoln statue's lap. So nobody crawl upon it, rummaging around trying to find treasure. Again, don't want to see the headline YouTuber responsible for, inappropriate touching and fondling of a national landmark. Yeah, just no. I know there's the old saying that all publicity is good publicity, but that kind of publicity is never good. All right. Basically, use your common sense. We want to have fun with this. We don't want to piss anybody off. Don't want to make anybody mad. We want to be able to continue doing this for the long future. Able to get everyone an opportunity to find some cool items. If you're searching for one of these that are buried, please, when you're done, fill the hole back in, whether or not you found the cask or not. Also, these are not buried super deep. We're talking, 4 to 8 inches. So basically, one good push of a shovel, you should hit it if you're right on it. Doesn't mean if you do push a shovel in the ground and you don't hit it, you're not in the right spot. You might just be a few inches away and, need to keep looking around. My point is, we don't want somebody to just keep digging and digging and digging and digging. You're not going to need to dig a new Snickers hole to find one of these, all right? That's kind of my point. And again, please fill those holes back in when you're done if it's one of the ones that are buried. Now for the part I'm sure many of y'all been waiting for, the first clue board. Here at the Vernian Treasury, we have many unique and valuable pieces of art, antiques, antiquities, jewelry, collectibles, and so on and so forth, which made it very difficult to decide on which pieces we want to put into the initial treasure casks for the hunt. Once we figured those out, it made it even more difficult to decide on which piece to offer for the very first clue board as well. So after much debate and pondering, we decided on this beautiful piece of pottery right here. I'm actually really sad to see this go. I have a huge pottery collection, and when I say huge, I mean it's huge. But again, it being huge means I can't keep everything. So I decided to pick out one of my more favorite pieces and offer that in the treasure hunt so it can go to another person to enjoy. This here is a 1930s James E. Maloney large snake-handled pot. Now, James E. Maloney in 1938 founded the Williamsburg Pottery Company. If you've ever been to Williamsburg or you collect pottery, probably heard of them. However, if you do collect pottery and you know Williamsburg pottery, you're probably thinking, that doesn't look anything like Williamsburg pottery. And if you're sitting there watching right now and you're a collector of North Carolina pottery, you're probably thinking, that looks like North Carolina pottery. What is he talking about? That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, there's a reason for this. In the 1930s, Maloney went to North Carolina to study with some of the great North Carolina potters at the time. And at some of the factories there, some of the studios. The details of his trip there is a little bit sketchy. Don't know all the details. We do know he was there for sure. That he went there to learn their styles, learn their glazes, and their forms. We don't know if he made any pieces while he was there or just when he got back to the Williamsburg Pottery Company. We do know he made some. Most of the ones you're going to find, which are very scarce to find, is North Carolina style pottery pieces. Most of them are small, and even what they would consider large ones are dwarfed by this. This is by far the largest one I've ever seen, anyone I've spoken to has ever seen. This one and his twin brother in a fairly well-known regional collection in Georgia. And the reason we know that this is James E. Maloney's work and not one of the potters in Carolina like Jack Kaiser or one of the Coles is the way the handles here are made and attached. They're not of the quality of somebody who did these snake handles a lot. A little bit of asymmetry to it. And there's this rebuild, which when I say rebuild, I don't mean something was repaired afterwards. I mean rebuild at the time the potter was throwing this before he fired it. A piece this large has a tendency sometimes to fall on itself because of its weight or tear. So the Maloney who made this repaired it and then fired it. The guys in North Carolina, they would not have done that. most likely. We've never seen anyone, and I've shown to a lot of people that are North Carolina pottery experts, and they all pretty much agree that this is a Maloney. The only place that there's a debate is the mark in the bottom here. If you line it up to early Maloney marks and to Royal Crown pottery, from what you can see, this mark that's left, which is it's pretty well degraded, and it probably didn't take real well to begin with. That was very, very common for pieces in this time period. It lines up with both, and on a close inspection with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, it almost looks like that there are points of a crown here. So that causes a slight amount of debate. One person a person who knows North Carolina pottery pretty well, did suggest to me that maybe by some chance he made one in a Royal Crown and was able to put the stamp on it. I find that highly unlikely that Royal Crown allowed him to put one of their stamps on this piece. But, anything is possible out there. So, as a Maloney piece, which is a rare Maloney piece and he's highly collectible, it has a retail value of about $300, and I've been offered upwards of that and a little more, even recently. When I say retail value, I mean if you went into a decent antique store or to an art gallery that handled pottery, that's what you'd expect to pay for it. If this ends up for some reason down the road, somebody pops up and shows, we see a truly marked example of this that says Royal Crown pottery, well, then you have one that's worth even much more. All right, but pretty confident, like 99.8% sure this is Maloney. But Maloney, or actually a slight chance of Royal Crown, this is a great piece, one that any pottery collector, any Williamsburg pottery collector, and most North Carolina pottery collectors would love to have. I know I've loved having my collection, and I'm glad to be passing it off onto somebody else on this treasure hunt we're doing. All right, so without further ado, what you've been waiting for, the Clueboard. It reads, "In the land of fair and hope nestles a Bohemian. Go to this place and you will find lonely Maggie. If you approach her properly, she will point you to the place for good measure. Make your eyes wide, and she will give you the numbers whose sum will find you the treasure which you seek below." I'll leave it up there for a couple of moments. You can take a screen capture of it, or you can do it the old-timey way and write it down pencil and paper, or you can just rewind and watch it again. So this is where I ask everyone to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications.
I actually made a song for that.
Ah, man, I don't know. Last time I let you sing off script, we got kicked out of a karaoke bar for you being too offensive. And that was in Daytona Beach during a bike week.
You'll like it. I promise.
Oh, I like that one too, but this is supposed to be family friendly.
Come on. Will you just trust me?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, here it goes. I love you, you love me, we're one big happy family. A jackass and a furball we surely be. Subscribe to our channel or I'll bite you a 90.
Sorry folks, I have absolutely no control over what she says. Well, you heard the girl. Subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell.
Ding!